Hello, Internet. Thank you once again for joining me to talk all things vertical drama. I think I have found the person who potentially holds the record or is very near the top of the amount of vertical dramas he has been in, and that is the lovely actor Kyle Colton, who we've just discussed 41. He's got 41 that he's done. So I'm going to ask Kyle now to take over and give a little bit of an introduction of himself to you.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Kyle Colton. As Jen said, I've been in the vertical space for just finished my 41st. I started doing the verticals back in fall of 2023, but my acting journey, I guess, goes all the way back to, I moved to LA in 2011, so it'll be going on 15 years next September. But I've been acting since I was 8 years old. So I tell people 25 years in the industry, still looking good at 25 years in. But started my career doing theater as a way to get out of my shell. I used to be very self-conscious, as a lot of actors, I'm sure, can relate to that. And I think it was an aunt of mine suggested, oh, you should do plays and things to get out of your shell. That's a story, is a tale as old as time, if you will. But as I was doing it throughout middle school and high school, I got more confident, and I was a huge movie buff growing up, and I always wanted to work in films. And I think I got the opportunity at 16 to play the flashback version of my brother, because my brother's also an actor. He lives in New York, but he was the lead of the movie, and the actor playing the flashback, younger version of him, for whatever reason, butted heads with the director, and the director fired him. So he asked my brother, do you have anyone that looks like you or can play this role? He said, I might know somebody. So my braces worked perfectly back then at 16, and from that point on, I think the film bug really caught up to me. I mean, I love doing theater, but film and television is really where my heart lies. And I came out to Los Angeles from Michigan in 2011 at 22, and I starred in a feature film called Alicia's Dream, which was a thriller that we shot in Mexico City. It was just me and one other actress, so it all hung on our shoulders. But it was a very interesting opportunity. First time being flown somewhere on a production's dime, not only to another state, but to another country. And I think it's on Amazon now. You can see Alicia's Dream. I think it came out 2017. It came out, and it was an interesting experience because we shot it, I think, in 2012. Didn't show up in theaters till 2017. But every project has a different journey, whether it sits in post production limbo for a while, if you will. But I'm glad that it got seen. That was the first time I saw myself on a big screen, and yeah, to look back now, wow, yeah, I'm 36 now, looking at my 22-year-old self, 100 some odd IMDb credits later. It's been quite a journey to go and work on projects in Thailand, playing Jesus 2 summers ago. I just came back from, I'm sorry, I was playing Jesus in Malaysia 2 summers ago, and then this past April, I was playing a U.S. Marine in a Vietnam War feature film shot in Thailand with an all Australian crew. And I have to give credit to my mentor and manager, Emmanuel Miller, who gave me just a lot of insight into the industry. He's worked with Angelina Jolie on 5 films. He's worked with Kate Blanchett on 8. He's worked with Ron Howard and Michael Mann and Johnny Depp and all these great people. And I met him probably, I would say, maybe 2 years into my time in LA. So I've known him for over a decade now, and he's just really helped me find my calm as an actor and just be open to so many different kinds of roles. These verticals, they kind of, I wouldn't say they came out of nowhere. I think, what was it? Quibi tried to do the short form
Yep.
a few years back, and for whatever reason, it didn't. It didn't flourish under Quibi, but maybe they were just 5 years too early. But yeah, I started doing these 2 years ago, and I think my first one was a werewolf one, and I really loved the fantasy ones because as absurd as some of the storylines are, at least I can lean into the campiness somewhat. And who knew that it would have such a fan base, and who knew that I'd have the opportunity to speak with lovely people like Jen and to speak to the vertical fan base at large. So thank you for the opportunity.
Can I just hop back because it's really interesting that you said your brother is also an actor. Was there like generation before you where like your mum and dad, was there anyone else in the family, or is it just you and your brother both suddenly found this path and followed it?
Just me and my brother. My brother's 5 years ahead of me, so I guess he's technically one generation ahead of me. He was born in
Yeah.
'84, but not in my family. No, my mother is a realtor, sells real estate, and my
Mm.
father is an attorney. So they're very much practical and uh, what do you call it? More pragmatic, if you will. My other brother's a doctor, and which is ironic because he was the first actor of the three of us. He did, I think, The Wizard of Oz in middle school, and I was tagging along as the little brother, thinking, "Oh, can I help you rehearse?" He said, "No, this is my thing." And he actually came to visit me in Thailand on this Vietnam War film that I did, and he got to be in some of the scenes with me. So that was very full circle moment because I only got to be in one. I think I got to be in one musical with him in high school because we were 3 years apart. So he was a senior when I was a freshman, so we only had one shot to, or maybe two shots, but we had one show that we were in together, and then he was off to college, and my oldest brother was 5 years ahead of me, so we were never in school at the same time.
That's fascinating. Just actually, I wanted to ask you about that as well. So it sounds like that's like one of the unexpected benefits of acting. If you don't go into it expecting it, but you end up, you can travel to all these amazing places around the world. Where would you say is the favourite one that you've been to so far through work, and
Mm.
why?
Uh, I mean, I would say Malaysia was pretty amazing. I don't know what it was. There was a magicalness about it. It was they treated me extremely well. They put me up in this really nice Airbnb that was across from this gigantic mall. I don't know if you've ever been to Kuala Lumpur, but the accommodations were very nice and the very professional crew. And I always felt cared for, and I always felt respected. It was almost this energy of, oh, you came from America. I think I was the only person in the cast from the West,
Mm.
if you want to call it that. But also, I think I'm not really a religious person, but I'm a very spiritual person. I think something about playing Jesus was I took a lot more. It's not that I don't have respect for other characters that I've played, but there's more of a responsibility I feel to play someone like that, and it wasn't. I mean, it was a dark comedy, so there was some levity to this project, but still, I had to have more respect. I was reading passages from the Bible every day, which I was raised Jewish, so I wasn't used to reading the Bible. And I tried to take it a little bit more seriously. They had me dressed like Jesus in the robe and the sash and the crown, and I asked them. I said, "Do you have anything for underneath? Do you have what do you call it, gauze or something that's more of a wrapping?" Because they said, "Oh, would you like boxers underneath?" I said, "I can't play Jesus and then wear present day undergarments underneath." And they at first they thought, "Why do you want them?" And then they realized, "Oh, it's for you, even if it's not going to show it." And so I try to be that type of an actor when I can. If I can, I mean, obviously it's 2,000 years ago and I didn't live back then, but I didn't want to have anything modern on me. Obviously, I have to have the microphone and the lav on me, but I tried to not have anything modern on me when I was playing him and give the character a little bit more respect.
Oh, that's amazing that you had that experience, and that makes a lot of sense. I've sort of another actor mentioned that about yeah, you need it doesn't work if you're then there in your trainers as well. It's like
Mm.
so. Um, so you mentioned obviously verticals. So you sounds like you're doing all sorts of work as an actor. You're traveling. You've been in features. Where do verticals fit in to just the job scene, as in what's available? How did that sort of come onto your radar?
Well, I first worked on one in fall of 23, and I remember it was with Eric Gilmet. Was my first, was the first leading man I worked with on those. Very kind gentleman. I also ended up working with. I don't know if he goes by Kiki or Kyle Fragnoli. I don't know if you've spoken with him.
Yeah.
We actually met each other uh, on a feature film in China that we worked on in 2020, right before the pandemic happened. So I met him there first, and I think we were all a little unsure when they first came out. They said, "Okay, so these are written like soap operas somewhat," and the scripts were a little kind of broken English. You weren't sure if they were written by AI or if they were translated directly from Chinese. But I mean, now the verticals, I would say, flood Actors Access. If other actors have spoken to you about the casting websites like
Mm.
Actors Access, Backstage.com, casting networks, I think across the pond, they have Spotlight.
Mm.
Even the film I did in Thailand, I found that through Backstage because they don't have Actors Access or Spotlight. I think each region of the world has their own casting
Mm.
sites. But here, I feel like I would say probably 90% of the casting calls are for verticals right now, which is great. I mean, there's a lot of work going on right now. That's why if I ever do run into actors that say, oh, it's so slow right now, they're honestly talking about the top 1% of the union jobs of
Mm.
of like the bigger studio shows. Like
Yeah.
if you want to work, there's a vertical going on in LA every week, or Atlanta, or New York, or London, or Turkey, or Ukraine. When a war is going on, they're still shooting in Ukraine apparently. There's work out there. There's people shooting every one of these back to back. There's production companies for the verticals that I've worked for back to back to back to back to back. They just go one right into the next.
Yeah, it's very intense, isn't it? Do you do that then when you're booking work? Is it like I need to take it while it's there, or do you like I need to build a break in? I can't just go back to back from project.
Well, for me, I haven't been in a position really where I've gone from. Usually, I'm not number one or number two on the call sheet. I think the highest I usually get is like number three, the main villain, which those parts are great to play. After divorce, I enter my Cougar era. I think that was the probably the biggest role that I've had in the verticals thus far. The amount of dialogue that you have to memorize, I really have a newfound respect for uh, actors that work on the what I call not dinosaur soap operas, but like the legacy soap operas, Guiding Light, General Hospital, all that
Yeah.
stuff. Those actors need to have a memory to be able to here's 10 new pages the morning of. They have to be able to do that. The great thing about the verticals is they give you more time than that. But yeah, sometimes you'll have to memorize 8, 9, 10 pages the night before. And for the actors and actresses that are number one, number two on the call sheet, if they're going back to back to back, that's something like 90, 100 pages of a script, and they're in 90% of the scenes.
Mhm.
You have to have a good memory to just go right into the next one. Sometimes they're memorizing their lines on the previous set. I haven't been in a position yet where um, I've been starring in one vertical and then go to starring immediately right in the next one. Usually for me, it's I'll do a day player here, a day player there, maybe a bigger supporting, then back to day player. And then for me, it is spaced out in that regard. I haven't really had back to back projects in the vertical world yet, as far as being needed for the entire shooting schedule.
So I want to ask you about after divorce into my Cougar era because it's a very good vertical. Um, you are wonderful in it, as in we all don't like you because we're not supposed to, because you are the ex-husband. Um, and yeah, it was really noticeable that obviously you got a lot more to do. First of all, you got to have a tennis scene.
I
Had you
did.
played tennis before? Can we ask about the tennis?
I had played tennis before. I would not say that I am an expert or anywhere near an expert. I'm probably a novice, if you will. But that line about like, what was it? My instructor says my backhand is exceptional. Exceptional, do you hear? I think I added that in. But it was fun. I love any opportunity to do a skill that I'm not an expert level in on camera. I mean, horseback riding in Wild West Chronicles, or riding a motorcycle in what was it called? Hellbound, which is an Easy Rider inspired horror film that I did in Atlanta about 10 years ago. But yeah, to play tennis with Teague was pretty fun.
And obviously, part of the sort of the fun is you have this fantastic rapport, I would say, or sort of double act going with the new lady in your life, who's played by Rebecca. And I think, is it right that you'd worked before together?
Yes, I had worked with Rebecca on Mafia's Good Girl, I think it was called. Yeah, Mafia's Good
Yeah,
Girl. And Jackson Tiller was my the alpha, if you will. We weren't
yeah,
werewolves, but I was his
yeah.
beta. But she was my wife in that one, so we already had great rapport. And The interesting one about that was we had almost no physical connection on Mafia's Good Girl, and then you go into Cougar era and we're all over each other right from the get go in episode one. But she's a professional, she's fantastic, and she's up for anything. I love working with Rebecca. She's a consummate professional.
And does it make it a bit easier to, if you've already, because this is something I'm understanding, obviously, particularly someone like yourself, you're on a lot of sets. I imagine you're seeing quite a lot of similar faces. Does it make it easier to almost just slip into the light, right? We can push it a bit more with what we're acting here and doing here because we trust each other and know each other. Is there a degree of that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If you have rapport with that person, if you have trust with that person. And I think I loved that I had the opportunity to establish trust with Rebecca. Even on Mafia's Good Girl, we didn't have any intense intimacy scenes, but I could just feel that even if we didn't have lines together, there was a connection with each other. And I think we had great conversations while the cameras weren't rolling as well. So I think we realized that we were the same type of actor because there's plenty of actors on 40 plus sets with the verticals or just any of the sets that I've been on. I mean, I can pretty much work with anybody, but just because someone calls themselves an actor or they have a lot of experience doesn't mean that you're the same type of artist. I don't know if you had conversations like that with other actors in your interviews, but I can respect other actors, but it's just like anybody in any industry, any human being, you're not always going to have the same type of energy or vibe in the same way. And I think I found a kindred spirit in Rebecca, and I would love to work with her on anything.
Because I think that's one of the things that really worked in that one, in that because obviously there's such a good connection between you two, it makes it more interesting for us as the viewer if there's a bit more to the villains than just they're awful. But there's more banter, and then her character's getting fed up with your character, and you're like, "Hang on, I'm getting left behind." And also, obviously, you have some very good verbal sparring scenes with your ex-wife Kate. They just look so much fun. And also, how do you keep a straight face with some of them? I mean, you're a consummate professional, obviously, but just there's a brilliant line that she gets about something about, if you had an X-ray, she wouldn't find your spine. That's the thing. There were some really good lines in that one. Do you spot that? Is that quite fun when you see it in the script? You're like, oh, actually, there's some good lines here I can really work with.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, it's some of them can get pretty campy or pretty like some of these lines. Just think like, oh, like who thought of these? These are pretty funny. I love the freedom that they've given us on some of these sets to sometimes if we feel like a word doesn't translate properly, sometimes they let us change it or sometimes they let us ad-lib and add in a line. I don't know if Kate added that line in or if that was in the script. I feel like she added that line. I don't remember it being in the script. Maybe she added it, but sometimes it is hard to keep a straight face. I mean, so many ridiculous things that go on, but a lot of fun things. I mean, getting pushed into a pool or destroying priceless things on the floor. I just finished one where it's, let me throw diamonds on the floor. Let me destroy a priceless orb. Let me destroy a statue and all this. And the outlandishness is very fun. And that is the challenge sometimes to keep a straight face, either in the delivery or in the line itself. But that's part of the fun.
So I'm going to go back to some of your earlier stuff now, because I think I first sort of really spotted you as in Love Me, Bite Me, which I know you said was one of your favourite projects, as kind of the vampire hunting one. I'm sure that's the one. Is that the one where you've got that amazing cane?
Yes, I had a cane. I had the blind mice
Yeah.
glasses. I had a mustache and a
I
French
mean, the
accent.
styling in that was really good. It was so memorable. Um, Yeah, what are some of your favourite costumes then and things like that you've got to wear? Because I feel like you've had some really good stuff, and that one really sticks out in my mind.
Thank you. I mean, back then I also had longer hair too. People ask, "Was that a wig?" No, that was my hair. I had hair down to here, so we put it on a ponytail, and they styled me. They gave me some gray in it so I could look older. And I forget what I call the three blind mice round black glasses. Those were. I thought
Yeah.
those were great. I think I brought the mustache because I mean that was supposed to be a disguise within a disguise as well.
Yeah.
And I think I suggested the French accent to the director, and they said, "I love it." Play this friend. I was supposed to be a vampire as well in it, so that had a lot going on. Putting on the French accent and the limp. That was one of those things, kind of like the Jesus experience, where even though people didn't see it, because I had to have a limp, I put a pebble in my shoe so I would just have a limp. And I picked that up from, I think James Gandolfini said in interviews that for Tony Soprano, he wanted to have a pebble in his shoe so he would always be angry all the time. Even if he wasn't saying anything, it was just he'd always be annoyed. So if
Yeah.
I need to have a limp or anything, I put a pebble in my shoe and I take that with me. And I liked having the cane and um, I mean, to put on facial hair, it's always best to be able to grow it, but obviously we jump from one project to the next, so sometimes you need to be clean shaven and then go right into having a beard or a mustache or even wigs. There have been some verticals where I've worn wigs for them as well. I think one of the Vanishing Point ones, I was Vincent Hansen. I was the evil brother of the main guy, and I had a great wig in that one. I would say my favorite. Accoutrements that I had put on me for one of the verticals was 5 hours in the makeup chair to be the transformed version of a werewolf in I forget what it was called, but Ryan Watson I think was the lead vampire or lead werewolf, and Emily Gately was the female lead. And it opens with me chasing her down an alleyway, and I'm in full prosthetics, wig. I looked like the guys out of Buffy the Vampire Slayer when they turned
Yeah.
into vampires. And that was just 5 hours in the makeup chair and had the teeth in. That was a great experience. I love when they can transform me, not just in the verticals, but in any project I'm working on. That's really the goal, is to be a chameleon.
That sounds so much fun. And presumably there's how long you're saying it's 5 hours in there? How long does it take to take off when you have that?
I would say maybe a half hour or
So it's a lot quicker because you haven't got another 5 hours at the end. Um,
yeah.
so obviously you did loads of early verticals. Is there one that kind of you were like, okay, that's the one that went big? Because I know Marriage for Green Card did well. I'm looking. Is there one that you're like, oh yeah, that's when people started picking up that I was in verticals and I was maybe getting messages and
Oh, for me personally, maybe it was the Cougar. Maybe it was I entered my Cougar era because, I mean, I'm sure there were other ones that I was a part of that blew up and helped for the leads on those.
mm,
For the green card one, I've actually worked with John, I think 3 times, and I think in that one I was a reporter that was friends with the bad girl.
yeah.
So I had that one scene with John, and then I was the lead chef on Married in My 45s with John, and then I think I did one other one that I forgot because I day play a lot. But yeah, I think after divorce, I enter my Cougar era. Probably for me on a personal level because I appreciate your review. I think put
Yeah.
more views on me personally as an actor. But I'm sure I've been attached here and there to ones that have popped off.
Yeah, no, you definitely have. I wanted to ask you as well. So, of your characters that you've played, which one do you think is the most dastardly? There's no coming back from, totally irredeemable in verticals.
In the vertical world, I mean, Robert in after divorce enter my cougar era, he was pretty dastardly. I mean, I've played characters in other verticals that probably did worse things like sexual assault or kidnapping people, but those characters were usually like one scene and then you don't see them again. But so I would say those are worse offenses. But over the course of an entire series of the project, probably Robert.
I was bad for a longer period. So, yeah.
Well, there was Robert, but also what was it called? The Wolf King, Alpha's Revenge. The Wolf King and his human Luna.
Yes.
That character was probably my favorite I've played of any of them. Kane, if you've seen that one, where they had me looking like full Lost Boys, like wolf stole on my shoulders, an earring with a little cross on it. I had long hair, I had rings on me. I probably loved playing that villain the most. Probably him and Robert are my favorite villains that I've played.
I have to ask as well, werewolf or vampire? What's your favourite?
Mm, in the vertical world or just in general?
Vertical world. The
In
perfect
Vertical
take
World,
of
I
both
think
of them.
it's werewolf because there's so many more deliciously ridiculous lines to say, like, I'm going to take alpha status from you, or I'm going to I challenge you for the alpha, for the alpha crown. I think in Alpha's Revenge, Wolf King and his human Luna, I had an actual crown and scepter. So that was amazing. Because with the vampire stuff, I've only done a couple vampire ones, but there's never anything like that I've seen. A crown, a throne, a scepter.
Yeah, I feel that yeah, the werewolf verticals kind of have taken off in a way that vampires haven't. They've sort of possibly maybe because there's not they do werewolves in quite a different way that movies do. I mean, you wouldn't recognise, obviously, American Werewolf in London or something, or Teen Wolf with how werewolves are portrayed in verticals. So I kind of feel like you've been able to build your own world more there, and obviously all the language. Do you understand it all? Would you say you could give someone a primer on like a vertical world of werewolf setup?
Well, the from the ones that I've worked on, yes, I could say there's going to be an alpha, there's going to be a beta, there's definitely going to be an evil werewolf that wants to steal alpha status from the other one, and more often than not, there's going to be a non-wolf Luna that is going to be cast aside or rejected by the wolf pack, and initially until they realize, oh, she's okay or she has powers. I think I've worked with Alexandria Watts on a couple of them. Actually, I think the Alpha's Revenge, Wolf King as Human Luna, that was almost identical to one that I worked with her before that, and it was almost the identical plot, but it was almost like a redo to do with it. I was the evil werewolf again, and she was a human Luna again. But they're fun, and I almost felt like we got to do it better on the second one.
So that's interesting you say that. Where do you think verticals are going? Are they improving? Kind of is the quality? What have you noticed since you started?
I think they've gotten a lot better since I started in 23. I think the quality of acting has gotten better. I think they've cast a wider net. I think in the beginning people didn't understand what they were, or they were a little hesitant to work on them. But the quality of actors has gotten better. I think the writing has gotten better. We always joke like are they written by AI or are they written by people? I think I would hope anyway that the final pass of the script would be looked over by a human if it was AI generated in the beginning.
Yeah.
But I think they're realizing thousands of these have been made, so I think they're trying to, I don't know if reinvent the wheel is the right phrasing, but they're trying to, because you see the same types of genres over and over again, but they're trying to have a little bit of a twist in there. Like, yes, this is there's the alpha, and then the his Luna is an outsider, and then there's the evil werewolf. Like, how can we make it a little different? I think in one of the werewolf ones that I did, my the evil femme fatale on my side was a witch, so that was a little different wrinkle that was added in. I mean, speaking of Alex, I know that she has actually gotten to the point where she's gotten to write for some of these, and some of the actors have gotten to a place where they're on such a good working relationship with these production companies that they're able to pitch storylines. And whenever I run into her, I always say, are you taking requests? Because I would love to do a black and white noir like Casablanca. I
Oh,
think that
I,
would be
I can picture
amazing in
you
this.
with like the bow tie hanging around your neck and a hat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the 1940s hat. If they could get the cars, I think some of the wooden dialogue would actually be perfect. Like, of all the gin joints and all the towns, who comes into mind? Like, and the delivery even just like that. And you have these tall, good looking guys, and if it's black and white, and it could be like almost stilted acting in a way, but it would work with that era.
It would work so well. You're so right, and it would look great on screen as well. Have you been tempted then to write yourself?
I haven't been tempted to write myself. People have asked me before. I'm more of an idea person. I've realized that I don't like writing from the ground up because it is a lot of work. And maybe I should start using Chat GPT or one of the AI things just to get like a rough, just like the bare bones of the script, and then I can go in and fix it a little bit. But if some of the production companies were open to me pitching, I would love to work on something. And I would hope that they'd be more open to letting some of the elements go. Like sometimes I feel like there has to be like a forced love triangle in there, like a forced like this trope has to be in there. There has to be X number of slaps, or there has to be a kidnapping, or there has to be someone losing a child, or there has to be unfortunately like an aggressor or like an assault. Like you don't have to have these types of things. I think there's so much potential for uh, verticals to go into other genres. I've heard of people doing horror verticals. I would love to do one set in space. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Oh
I've
yeah.
seen ones for westerns that I've submitted for. That'd be great. I love period pieces, so the 1930s, 1940s would be great. And they claim that it would be difficult for the budget, but I think they've got it in the budget now to start getting more period stuff. And um,
There's been a few that have sort of
mhm.
sneaked out, so yeah, I'm sure there will be more to come. I just wanted to ask you about the actual set as well, because obviously you've talked about the writing and the acting's developed. Are you seeing it in the production as well? And just I know another, he's mainly a supporting artist, but he said he'd really noticed that just the amount of people in crews had increased in the last
Mm.
year. Have you seen that as well?
I would say the number of the crew has been pretty comparable to when I started in 23. I would say they've been pushing the envelope more as far as I think maybe like some CGI on the back end. I think I saw one recently where they had a character flying in a helicopter and they green screened it. I've been seeing more that take place on an airplane, so maybe the production quality has been going up in that regard as far as the sets. Yeah, airplanes on a ranch, because a lot of them in the beginning they would use the same homes over and over again. I can only speak for my experience in Los Angeles because I've never been flown to Atlanta or to New York or to Turkey or to other countries to do verticals yet, but I'm sure that's happening in other countries as well. As the success goes up and the views go up, I'm sure they've been pushing the envelope more with CGI and types of sets that they use and stunts. I think stunts have been pretty prevalent from the beginning. I think that's more of like a production company by production company basis as far as how much they want to push it. I mean, I loved getting pushed into a pool. As long as it's not my wardrobe, I'm fine getting pushed into a pool. I think my most intense fight scene that I had was actually uh, Alpha's Revenge, Wolf King and his Human Luna. I was fighting Michael. I forget his last name, but I think that was one of his first verticals that he had done. That was a whole choreographed fight with a fight choreographer. I think she was also the intimacy coordinator as well. But yeah, they're pushing the envelope with the stunts and the I would say the last one I just worked on, the amount of props that got destroyed was pretty impressive. So I think they are pushing the envelope. I think they just need to take bolder risks. I mean, even I worked on My Secret Agent Husband. Apparently, that was a risk, especially in the Asian market, to do two men in a love sequence with two men. That was pretty groundbreaking, and I'm honored to have been a part of that one.
And I mean, yeah, obviously that's just been an absolute smash hit, and then got a sequel, which was even better. So it proves it can be done. That's a good question, actually. Out of all the verticals you've done, is there one that you're like, we could do a sequel to that?
I mean, it's anyone where I have a sizable role. I'd love for it to have a sequel, but it would have been fun, I think, to see what would have happened after Love Me Bite Me. To see, oh, like now that we know he's a Van Helsing, like where does he go from here? Does he
Yeah.
join? Because we signed the contract at the end. What happens there? Does he work with the vampires now and have a partnership? And where do they go from there? But yeah, some of the, I mean, it's obviously you want him to have as much work as possible. Selfishly, as an actor, I want to have as much work as possible. But some of them are good as standalones, I feel, and then other ones, it's like you think, oh, what happened to that character? I want to see more of them, or maybe it births a spin-off of a specific character. I want to see what happens to that side character. What happens with them? I think that happened with Urkel somewhat in the beginning of Family Matters. He was supposed to be a side character. I think he was supposed to be in the pilot and then never seen from again, and then he becomes a series regular. So you never know.
Just got to make yourself indispensable and steal every scene you're in, and then you're sorted. Um, I was going to ask. It was in. Hang on, I've had a total brain drain, but this is fine because I can edit it out. What was I going to ask you? Oh my god, I've totally gone now. Oh yes, that's what I wanted to ask you. Um, with the success of verticals, is any of it actually flowing over? Are there more jobs? Like, is theatre picking up at all? Is film picking up, or is it still very much? It's only really verticals that are kind of providing the work at the moment.
Well, again, I can only speak for how it is in Los Angeles,
Mm.
but I think the probably the bigger studio films are a little bit more. They're still making them. A lot of them have been shooting outside of Los Angeles. I've been hearing, but I think we just did pass a $750 million incentive package to try to bring films back to Los Angeles. So I mean, there's still feature films being made all over the country and all over the world. But yeah, I think it's going to pick up. Maybe the strikes had a hand with that. Everything kind of slowed down while we were in the middle of a strike in 24. But I mean, I wouldn't have noticed because I was doing a lot of verticals anyway. But I don't know. I'm not really in the theater world that much. I think there's always plays going on, but I think in a place like Los Angeles or Hollywood, the TV and film has always trumped theater here a
Mm.
little bit more. There's always been more opportunities. Because I mean, if you're doing a play, then you're doing rehearsals for a month, and then you're running for a month, and you're so locked into that one show. With verticals, you could spend a week working on this project, or even a day, and then you jump onto the next one the next week. There's so many different opportunities to play different characters, and I would say that at the moment, verticals are probably dominating the space, but I think films will pick back up. I'm actually supposed to do a film in LA about, I think it has to do with the Thai community, and it's shooting in Los Angeles, but that's going to shoot at the end of the month, and then there's another one that I'm supposed to shoot in Atlanta. So and I mean, and I just got back from doing a film in Thailand. So there's movies shooting everywhere. But for the time being, I'm very grateful for the work in whatever ratio, vertical or horizontal, it comes in.
So when you go onto set and you're doing the horizontals, are you noticing more interest of just like, oh, you do verticals? Can you? Because since I've obviously started this account and sort of randomly doing this 6 months ago, it's kind of gone from there not really being much media attention to, there's probably an article coming out a week now of people going, oh, okay, maybe this is going to save film and TV. This is where the jobs are. So I was wondering if correspondingly, when you're going on sets or just talking to people, people are now like, oh, right, tell us about verticals rather than sort of dismissing them.
Hmm. I would say on the sets themselves, it hasn't really come up. Maybe because I'm more of an indie film person. I think maybe that's why I don't. I tend not to play like the number ones and number twos on the verticals. I'm more the side day players or villain characters on these because I have more of a film look, and I tend to do more off the wall, non mainstream independent film. I think I told people about the verticals when I was in Thailand because um, a lot of the cast and crew came from Australia. So I don't know if they're shooting in Australia now, but some of the actors on that they asked me about them. They said we've heard about these things, but I've never worked on them. I said I've worked on over 40 of them, and so I told them about it, and they said, oh, maybe I will give it a shot because you seem to be working on them, and that I see them as not my day job, but I see them as they pay the bills in between more because a film, especially if you're starring in it, that kind of becomes like a play. Taking if you're filming for a month on it, then that takes up more of your time. Whereas with the verticals, you're working on it for a week or less, and then you're on to the next one. Um, there's more ability to maneuver and jump on one set to the next. But I've had friends that will, actor friends, that will ask me about it. They say, oh, I wasn't sure about it. I thought they were kind of campy or hokey or soapy. And I said, well, they're paying the bills in between stuff that are in between the horizontals, if you will. So I think I've definitely been able to educate some people about them and say, hey, it's would you rather be sitting on the couch wishing that you were acting, or would you rather be working on a vertical, regardless of it's this way or this way? I'd rather just be acting. I came out here to act, not to wait tables or to wait for what I call an under five every 6 months on some of the bigger projects.
Yeah, that makes sense. And actually, I think that's a common theme, which obviously makes sense because you're all in verticals. Of you all saying, like, do you know what? I would much rather be in camera, using the muscles, rather than sitting on the side and going, "I'm not doing verticals," but you're not actually acting either. So, I think I think that kind of seems to be something that unites everyone in the community, and you're all just really positive about it. About let's just go and do the best that we can do with this. Talking about acting, who inspires you, and who are like the actors and actresses that for you are must watches?
Just in general of all the
Just in
actors.
general, yeah. It doesn't need to just be verticals, just general. Oh, it's always really interesting to hear what people's inspiration are.
Oh, absolutely. My favorite actor is probably Daniel Day-Lewis. He's a complete chameleon. He just disappears into every role that he plays, and I love that there's an interview. Denzel Washington, also an inspiration of mine. I think he was speaking with um, Jamie Foxx, and they were talking about social media. Because Jamie Foxx was saying, I was talking with Michael B. Jordan, and he was saying, like, shouldn't you be out there promoting yourself more? And of course, Denzel came up in a time where it didn't exist yet. Social media wasn't even out there. And Jamie Foxx said, "Do you think it's a mistake to be putting yourself out there too much? Can you kill it? Can you kill the hype?" And Denzel said, "I think if you drink too much water, you'll drown." And there is too much of a good thing sometimes. And he said there has to be some mystery to you. There has to be some mystique. And he mentioned Daniel Day-Lewis, saying, "I don't know anything about him on a personal level. All I know is his work. That should be your calling card. That he's just were you any good in that project? That should be your calling card, not how many likes your posts get." And
Yeah.
I'm maybe I'm old school. I am really a fan of the era of filmmaking from the 1970s. Al Pacino, Robert De Niro are some of my favorite actors of all time. Jack Nicholson, because he was just so wild and unpredictable. And even if he kind of would play himself in a lot of his roles, you never knew what he was going to do. And so I try to bring that into a character, no matter how big or small the character is. I try to bring some level of unpredictability to it, or some danger to it. I think Nicholson brings that, and De Niro does as well. Pacino to an extent as well, but and I love him in The Godfather. I love De Niro in Goodfellas or Raging Bull. Joaquin Phoenix is also an inspiration of mine. Probably more on a personal level. I don't know him on a personal level, but when I've seen him give speeches or when I see him in interviews, he seems very demure and reserved. And when you see him give a speech, I think when he won his Oscar, I watched his acceptance speech thinking, how has this man been in front of the public eye for over 30 years and he still feels uncomfortable? Because I think he has a shyness about him. I think he almost has a little boyness about him. But when he's on screen, it's just no hold bars. In Gladiator, Commodus and Gladiator, he'll just be ruthless. And I think maybe for people that are shy or introverts, acting is a way to get those demons out, or to be maniacal with no repercussions at all. So um, I'm a big believer that when people are casting things, it's not that you have to look like a certain actor that someone might have been a fan of before. I feel like energies come back. I feel like Joaquin Phoenix is our generation's Montgomery Clift. I feel that George Clooney is our generation's um, Clark Gable. Even if
Oh
they
yeah,
don't,
I see that. Yeah.
yeah, it's the energy from. They don't even have to look identical to them. Even though Clooney kind of does look like him, he had that sophistication about him, and that kind of like, oh, like the ladies just flock to him effortlessly. Um,
Suave is the word that comes to my mind.
Very very suave. I mean, James Franco played James Dean, and that was probably the closest that I've seen of James Dean. He was pretty phenomenal in that. But I'm a huge proponent of that because I feel like energies of actors come back around, whether it's like the spirit of that actor comes back around. Um, Jude Law was kind of compared to Errol Flynn a little bit, and I just because I love casting
Yeah,
as
I
well.
can see that. I can see that as well. Yeah, and some mannerisms. Yeah.
Yeah, I love casting. If acting wasn't my number one, casting would be my number two. So I'm a huge proponent of and champion for character actors like Steve Buscemi and DeVito and um, I mean, even Rami Malek to an extent. He kind of reminds me of who was the one from Casablanca that was kind of a little strange looking.
I know
It
who you
wasn't Peter
mean. I
Lorre.
can't remember any names, but I know who you
Maybe it
mean.
was Peter Lorre, possibly. Yeah,
That's
he
it.
reminds
Yes.
me.
Yes, it's him. Yeah.
Yeah, Rami Malek reminds me of Peter Lorre. He's a great actor, but he's got something interesting about him. And those are the casting choices that really make my heart sing when it's Walter Matthau as the leading man instead of, Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate. They originally wanted someone like Robert Redford in that role. They went a
Yeah.
complete 180, and it just completely opened up the universe to what is a leading man. Dustin Hoffman. I think if Dustin Hoffman didn't walk, or if Dustin Hoffman didn't do The Graduate, I don't know if Al Pacino does The Godfather.
Oh, I like that as a theory. And yeah, I'm still recoiling in horror at the thought of Robert Redford leading The Graduate. It's making me go, it's like, it would be the same. The other thing as well, I really love that you brought up as well, is I was just thinking, obviously, Daniel Day-Lewis, who I think you could probably do in the biopic, you know?
Thank
Feel you'd
you.
pull off Day-Lewis. But yeah, I remember I think I didn't believe, it took me a long time to like, actually, are these the same people? Because I'd first seen him in Room with a View. Obviously, he's the most uptight, bespeckled, kind of hunched over little character. And then I saw him in what's it called? Oh God, Last of the Mohicans.
Mm, yes.
Basically charging around the woods and is like action hero, sort of swarthy outdoorsman. And I think that was just like, I cannot believe this is the same actor. And as you said,
Yeah,
just
he's
he
phenomenal.
totally was each role. So
I think I have a
um,
connection with him as well because I played John Proctor in The Crucible in high school. That was the role that was the turning point for me from going
yeah.
from, because I think people ask me like, when did you know that you wanted to be an actor on a professional level? I think initially I did it just to get out of my shell because I was really shy, but just to throughout middle school and high school, I didn't really take the audition seriously um, until The Crucible, my senior year of high school, and I didn't really. I would go in with the sides at the callback. It was nice to get a callback, but I would like have the sides in my hand. I would have the lines in my hands. But on that one, I thought this is my final show of high school. I've never been the lead, and one of my closest friends in the theater, in our theater group, our theater clique, her name was Emily, and I said, and she said, we should work on this together. I know in the past you've kind of fluffed it off and not taken it seriously or having the sides in your hands, but I really think that we can get this. And you don't know when you go to, I don't know if you did theater in high school, but when you go to that chemistry read at the callbacks, the chemistry read, you don't know who the director's going to pair up. So we just assumed at the very least, let's get off book and have some good chemistry with each other. And lo and behold, when we got to the callbacks and chemistry reads, I think I only read with her. And we were the only ones off book. And we ended up playing husband and wife. We were John and Elizabeth Proctor. And that at that point, after that show, people started coming up to me that weren't obligated to say you were really good in that show, like strangers that I never met before. I thought, oh, like this is more than just my family saying you were so great in that, honey, because I feel like we all have that experience where we don't believe our family because we feel they're obligated
You're
to
like, well,
say,
you're gonna say that because you're my mum, you know. It's like I'd
yeah.
be worried if you didn't. So yeah, that makes sense. I have to ask, following on from that, what's okay? It's a bit of a cliche question, but good advice you've been given, and also something you wish you'd been told.
Just in the just in general
Generally
or in
around
film,
acting and the industry, yeah.
some good advice and then some bad advice.
Well, kind of good advice, and then something like I wish someone had told me this. I had to learn that the hard way.
Mm. Probably the best piece of advice I've gotten from my mentor, Emmanuel Miller, is go for the role that interests you. Don't go for is it from a big show? Is it union? Is it this? Is it that? Because I can't tell you how many actors I've come across, and maybe I needed to take 15 years in the industry to come to this realization. But when I was 22, I first came out to LA. I thought that I wasn't a success unless I was starring in some big, huge studio film, and I was comparing myself to someone like James Dean, who another I should have mentioned him in my actors that I look up to. Uh, I mean, he James Dean when he was going at it. I tell actors now when people like that were pursuing acting as a profession, probably a quarter of the amount of people on the planet were pursuing it. So the amount of competition was just so much greater. And there was no social media, there was no YouTube, there was no way for people to shoot anything on their phone at that point. So if you wanted to be an actor, you had to be in New York, or you had to be in Hollywood or England. And if you were going to be an actor in England, it was mostly stage. So if you wanted to be a film actor, you had to be in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And those stories of, oh, they were discovered walking out of the supermarket, or walking out of a modeling agency. I think it was how Marilyn Monroe was discovered back when she was Norma Jean. Stuff like that happened more. It still does happen now, but there's so much more competition now. But yeah, I would say the best piece of advice I got is, if the role interests you, submit for it. Put yourself out there for it, and don't try to finish the story, if you will. So many people try to say, well, that sounds interesting, but it doesn't pay enough, or it shoots in another state, or it shoots in another country. Why would I submit for that if it shoots in another country? Maybe they'll fly you. My mentor says that all the time. If the role interests you, and the script is interesting, tape for it, audition for it, and then let them decide if, oh, we didn't realize you're in Los Angeles and it shoots on the other side of the country or the other side of the world. Let them decide. Because at the end of the day, every audition that you put on tape, or if you're lucky enough to get to do it in person, because those are so rare now, I see it as a gift when I can go in person these days. They are so rare. 95% of auditions are on tape now. It's an opportunity to make a fan. I mean, sometimes I'll get invited to auditions for things, and I'll think, I don't know if I'm right for this, but you saw something in me to do this character, so I'm going to do it the best I can, put my stamp on it, and all I know is that when I send this thing off, there's no way that you can't say that wasn't a good performance, whether I'm physically right for it, I'm too young, too old, too tall, too short, too whatever. Every audition is the chance to make a fan in the room, and also to practice the craft that you love, supposedly. Wherever you're coming to New York or LA, or wherever you're going to work on your craft, because you have to love it. There's too much rejection. You have to love it. You have to find the joy in all of it. I can't believe how many actors I've come across that they'll complain about things that are acting related. I thought, but that's part of the business that you've chosen. Auditioning is part of it. Self-taping is part of it. Class can be part of it. You don't have to go to class if you don't want to, but if you've chosen to do class, then enjoy it. Getting the headshots, that's part of it. It's all included. And even when people are on set, I find them complaining. I think, I'm sorry, weren't you complaining that you were sitting on your butt on the couch wishing that you were acting? When people complain about it, I think all you're doing is putting out in the universe that you want it to stop.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not attracting good things if you put that out, I don't think. I just want to say thank you so much for your time, because it's been an absolute joy talking to you, and just hearing a bit more about you and your perspective and what inspires you, and sort of how you've seen Verticals evolve. As a final sign off, what can we next look forward to seeing you? And I know you've spoken about projects you've got booked. Do you know what's due out on a phone screen or a horizontal screen near us soon?
Let's see. I just worked on one with XYZ Entertainment. I think that one is called The Day I Gave Birth, I Got Divorced, I think is the name of it.
Oh, yes. It's
Yes.
almost impressed that they haven't come up with that before now. It's putting keywords in, mingle it around. That's a new one. So yeah.
That one has Elijah Van Patten. Is that his last name? I believe.
Xanton, I think. Xanton, yeah.
Yeah, Elijah is leading that one.
Yeah.
So that one was a lot of fun. But yeah, I love the Cougar. If you're still watching the Cougar, that's one of my favorites. So
Yes, more love for the Cougar. I think that's how we can finish this. Go and watch that now if you haven't seen it already. Available on Good Short, I think. So there you go. Got our little pitch in. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Jen. This was lovely, and I'm pretty sure that the one I just mentioned is also on Good Short.
That's very good. That's brilliant for the fans, actually.